If every human vanished tonight, the world wouldn't collapse immediately. But within just a few hours, the planet would begin changing in ways you probably never imagined. Right now, millions of machines across Earth depend on one thing: humans. Power plants, airplanes, trains, factories, and servers all require people to monitor and control them. If humans suddenly disappeared, many of these systems would continue running for a while. But not for long. Within minutes, airplanes flying across the world would run out of fuel and crash. Trains would stop where they are. Cars would slowly drift to a halt. But the real problem would begin inside the world's power plants. Most power plants require constant human supervision. Without operators, safety systems would eventually shut them down. Entire cities would suddenly go dark. Within hours, massive power grids across continents would collapse. The lights would go out across the world. But strangely enough, that's actually good news for the planet. Because once the power grids fail, the Earth begins a slow process of healing itself. Nature has been waiting for millions of years to reclaim what humans built. And the first signs of that takeover would start almost immediately. Just 1 week after humans disappear, something surprising happens. The world gets quieter than it has been in thousands of years. The modern world is extremely loud. Engines, factories, cars, and airplanes constantly fill the air with noise. But once humans vanish, these sounds disappear. Within a few days, the only sounds left would be wind, rain, and wildlife. Without human maintenance, many buildings would begin to deteriorate surprisingly fast. Subway tunnels would slowly flood as pumps stop working. Roads would begin cracking without constant repairs. And animals would begin exploring cities. In fact, some species would thrive. Coyotes, deer, foxes, and birds would expand into urban areas that were once too dangerous for them. Zoos would open as gates rust or collapse, releasing animals into nearby ecosystems. But not all animals would survive. Pets like dogs and cats would struggle without humans. Meanwhile, wild ecosystems would begin expanding into cities. Grass would grow through sidewalks. Trees would begin reclaiming roads. The balance of nature would slowly shift back toward the wild. After about 20 years, cities would begin to look less like cities and more like forests. Without constant maintenance, buildings degrade faster than most people expect. Rainwater seeps into roofs and walls, metal structures rust, glass windows shatter during storms. Skyscrapers would stand for decades but slowly decay. Plants would grow in places they were never meant to. Trees would take root in rooftops. Vines would climb entire buildings. Eventually, entire streets would be buried under vegetation. Wildlife populations would grow dramatically. Animals that once avoided cities would turn them into new habitats. Lions might roam former towns in Africa. Bears could reclaim forests near North American cities. The Earth would begin looking less human and more natural. But here's the most surprising part. Traces of humanity would still exist thousands of years later. Even if nature reclaimed our cities, some structures would survive far longer than others. Stone monuments could last thousands of years. Mount Rushmore, the pyramids, and massive dams would remain long after cities disappear. Plastic waste might remain for centuries. Deep underground structures like subways and bunkers could survive even longer. Future intelligent species might someday discover these ruins and wonder who built them. Humanity would leave behind a strange archaeological puzzle. But the biggest question isn't what happens to Earth without us. It's what this tells us about our place on the planet. Humans have transformed Earth faster than any species in history. We built cities, altered rivers, and reshaped entire ecosystems. But if we vanished, the planet would continue without us. Nature would adapt. Forests would return. Animals would expand. The Earth has survived mass extinctions, asteroid impacts, and ice ages. Humanity is powerful, but the planet is even more resilient. And that might be the most fascinating lesson of all.